Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a warm welcome to AM Inspirations. And it is Monday, alhamdulillah. Well, to lighten your Monday up and to speak about a very deep topic, I am joined on the line by none other than life coach and author Zainab, and she's going to be speaking to us all about stop self-sabotaging and what this is all about. Zainab now joins me on the line. Zainab, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Yasmin.
Zainab, how are you doing?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. How are you doing today?
Good, alhamdulillah. And shukran so much for taking out the time to be part of the program. Now, Zainab, before we head into the discussion for this morning, speak to us all about who you are and your background, inshallah. Just a brief intro, seeing that it is the first time on the airwaves of the Voice of the Cape and the AIM Inspirations program for that matter.
Shukran so much. There's so much to say, but let's keep it brief. So, my name is Zainab Achmat, as you all know me. I have very different types of roles that people know me as. For example, I'm a life coach. I also do acupressure massaging. I do reflexology, a bit of Reiki. So there's a bit of everything that I delve into. But I'm very passionate about community, and hence life coaching is what I'm all passionate about.
Wonderful. And also you forgot to mention that you are an author as well.
That's what I am.
Fantastic. Now, Zainab, we are speaking about a very important topic. I think it is a topic that many of us should know, and I want people to engage on 0829 913 913. If you have heard of this term self-sabotage and you maybe don't know what this means, we are going to unpack that right now. Zainab, speak to us more about what is self-sabotage and how we can identify when we are being self-sabotaged.
So very often people are not aware that they are actually self-sabotaging themselves. So if you were to look at what self-sabotage is, the actual definition of self-sabotage is something like when people do or do not do things that block their success or prevent them from achieving their goals or moving positively forward in life. So that is actually what it is. But we don't know how to catch ourselves, and we don't even know what are our symptoms of self-sabotage. So if I can just briefly give you an idea, if you have any of the following symptoms, then it would be self-sabotage. So let me just give you an example. When people refuse to communicate and they cut them off, when people refuse to ask for help, when people procrastinate, or picking fights very easily, or conflicts very easily, setting unreasonable goals, making excuses or blame shifting is a very big one, feeling very insignificant, reluctant to speak up for yourself or even putting yourself first, constantly seeking approval, and sometimes self-sabotage even could lead to substance abuse.
Now, Zainab, just before you continue, you mentioned one point, and that is blame shifting. Is this in a sense of someone passing the buck? It could be anyone.
Very much so. Very much so. So blame shifting in the sense of deflecting, meaning that, for example, if I'm doing something, I feel fear in the sense that you're going to pick up that I'm maybe not as confident or that I'm maybe not doing my job well enough because I myself have limiting beliefs in myself that I'm a loser maybe at what I'm doing. And now you may be starting to pick up. So now I deflect and I start blame shifting. I deflect people from seeing what you think is like the real you. You don't want them to see the real you, the limiting beliefs that I have in myself.
Right.
So I kind of like shift the whatever it is onto somebody else, and I deflect them from what we're actually currently talking about now.
Right. I understand and I get that. And how do you combat this, Zainab, and also look at why do people self-sabotage?
So the reality is self-sabotage for me is more like when people, when their values are not in line with their behavior. Okay? So meaning, for example, I value punctuality, but I keep procrastinating. So it's not in line. Do you see that?
Right, I do. So
So
I value, my values is different to my actual actions.
behavior, there we go, there
Yeah,
we go.
yeah, I
So
understand.
we, in order for us to actually get things aligned, we actually need to identify who we are, not what people tell us who we are.
Zainab, how can we stop self sabotaging and especially looking at it, whether it is colleague to colleague or even a husband and wife? How do we stop this behavior and how do we identify this behavior in our partners?
So first and foremost, we need to know our values. Okay. Secondly, for example, if you had to, we also need to know our limiting beliefs. Now, how would I know my limiting beliefs? So, what triggers you? For example, when we grow up as children and your parents constantly tell you, um, you're stupid, for example. Okay, so now I grow up and I feel I'm going now. I'm an adult and I'm gonna now start a new job and I get a promotion and everything is going great. But now I become a team leader. So now my fear of am I going to be a good team leader? Because now I fear that. So automatically, what do? I self sabotage and I say, I'm going to resign. This is not good enough for me. I'm going to find something else because I fear that I'm going to be stupid in my job. So I'm carrying this limiting beliefs with me since childhood. And those are the things that we need to break in order to move forward in life.
And how do you
So
communicate this with your partner, Zainab?
this is something that we need to work on ourselves. Our partner might know that we self-sabotage, okay? And our partners are generally the one that has to be very patient with us. They must have lots of sabr. So for us, it's something we need to work through ourselves. We need to identify, for example, turn our negatives into positive. So what is the negative? The negative is your negative core belief that we need to turn into a positive. Let me give you an example. If I say, for example, some people might feel, okay, let's say me, I was divorced 3 times, right? So now I think to myself, you know what? Maybe I deserve to be abandoned. Maybe I deserve to be rejected or bullied, for example. And now that's going to maybe play in my mind because I've been divorced so many times and maybe I just deserve this, man. So how do I turn that into a positive? I need to consistently tell myself, I deserve to be united. I deserve to be accepted and I deserve to be celebrated. And it's easier said than done because it's not just words. One needs to actually start affirming this in your mind constantly. So say, for example, now I've finished divorce, life goes on, and now somebody pays me a compliment, which is a good experience, right? It's a positive experience. So because I'm negative in my mind, I say, I feel that this person is fake. And maybe they're just trying to fool me. So now I'm having a negative experience from something that is positive, which is self-sabotage. So how do I now? I now need to reaffirm a positive belief in my mind for myself. Nobody else can do that for me. So now, next time, I need to remind myself that the reality is there are kind people in this world. There are genuine people in this world. I need to learn to be more mindful and accepting of compliments. I can't judge everybody with the same book.
Moving forward, and all the
Mm-hmm.
points that you have mentioned with regards to the symptoms or the traits when it comes to self sabotaging, and you mentioned this whole example about passing a compliment and you need to value yourself more. How do people
Yeah.
get started with this? So, for those that maybe is going through a difficult relationship or they're just going through a difficult time in general or that have been through a divorce and they're trying to cope with all the new change in their life, how do they then put value inside of themselves and see value in life as well?
That is a whole subject. Value is a whole subject on its own, to be honest with you. Because how do we know our value? You know, like I said, we need to figure out who we are and what do we value. Because your values might be different to mine. You understand?
Right.
And so therefore everybody's values is different. And that is why in a relationship people might value different things. And what is a value? Values are deeply held beliefs that drives your decision and your behavior. So in my book, one of my chapters, I actually write about values. I talk about values because I feel that values are very important, because if your values are not aligned with your partner's values, then there's going to be a difference. Because if I enjoy maybe partying and my partner is a homely based person, our values are not aligned.
But then, Zainab, with the values not being aligned, can you work around this? Or is it,
So
you know what, our values are not aligned, this is not going to work for us
100%. But this is why we need to work on ourselves. And
first?
how do we work on ourselves first? Okay? We need to develop self-awareness of our own behavior. So what triggers me? What triggers me to behave this way? I need to question myself in order to learn. So I want to achieve, for example, a goal in life, right? But I keep doing something else. So I want to travel, but I need to get my passport in order to travel, but I keep procrastinating to get my passport. And it's a simple process of just maybe going online and booking the appointment. I have the money, but I'm delaying my process. So I need to identify, why am I delaying it? What is the actual real reason for me delaying it? Is it because I'm scared to travel alone? What is my fear? What is causing me to behave differently, not in line with my value? One of the things we need to look at is avoiding becoming a crowd pleaser. So often we end up saying yes to so many different people. We end up taking their responsibilities on us, which we end up feeling overwhelmed, burnt out, and then we start self-sabotaging again because we want to give somebody else and we take away from us. We also find, for example, we need to steer away from procrastination, which is one of the big signs also of self-sabotage. By having an action plan or setting smaller goals that will lead up to your final goal. Sometimes we think of a big goal, and now because it's so big, we fear we can't get to it, instead of breaking that goal down into smaller, achievable goals that will reach us to the final destination. And then, for example, I find that we need to find a safe space to communicate your thoughts. Often they don't want to communicate in fear of saying the wrong things. And you always hear them saying, listen to me, or they will say, you never understand me. So too often we tend to be too hard on ourselves. Too often we criticize ourselves. We say things to ourselves that we won't dare say to somebody else.
Then also, Zainab, there's a saying that you are your worst enemy.
Oh, yes.
You
Oh,
agree?
yes. 100%.
How so?
Because who criticizes you better than yourself?
Correct.
How often do we stand in the mirror as females before we go out, and we change us over and over because somebody just said, oh, take a lecture and die. You know? And then we change immediately without even thinking or saying, but I'm comfortable in this. This is why I'm saying we're not confident in who we are anymore. We take on what people say you are.
And I think, Zainab, moving to the close of today's segment, I think it's very important, just, some tips with regards to building that confidence. We spoke about self-sabotaging, we spoke about values, and now building that self-confidence. Just some last words from your side, advice to those listening in at the moment.
So advice in building your confidence, there's so many different things that we can do to literally just take that responsibility back and building your confidence. We need to focus on avoiding excuses, avoiding the real issues in life, and we need to just focus on what makes us happy, what brings us peace, what motivates us, what moves us. And we need to focus really on what is our values and who we are, and is our behavior in alignment with what we want to do. So again, being mindful of self-awareness and our actions towards our behavior.
Wonderful, Zainab. Shukran so much for being part of the program and speaking to us all about self-sabotaging, even though we spoke about a variety of things that is linked also to self-sabotaging, such as values, such as confidence. Until we speak tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That, of course, the voice of life coach Zainab Achmat speaking to us about self-sabotaging. On that note, we head out for ads, and once we return, we'll continue. Stay tuned.